Hey everybody, this is Michael Bryson and Gregory Ulysse for This is Bodybuilding. Welcome to the podcast. We're going to talk today about this great show that just happened this past weekend, or this weekend, the Chicago Pro. It was a great show, wasn't it, Greg?
Bro, it was a show to remember. Let's put it that way. I will not forget that show for a while. For a while.
Definitely the biggest show of the season so far, with the most competitors in most of the divisions, and it was all of the divisions, and they were all stacked with competitors. Lots of them had top Olympians in them. Bikini had a top Olympian in it, and of course Men's Open did as well, with Rolly Winkler. Let's talk first about open bodybuilding. That was pretty. It was an awesome show.
It was an awesome show, but first thing first, the one thing I would say, I would like to give a shout out to the judges, because that show was judged perfectly.
It was.
I mean, there's no athlete can say that it did not have a chance to get seen. Nobody was overlooked. I mean, and we're talking about the Open about a minute. The Open guys got worked, and I like what Hunter Lobata said in his victory speech. They called him out more than of all the shows combined.
Yeah, that's great.
That's great. That's great, because he earned it, which is great.
He did. Huge congrats. I think the show, it was judged incredibly well. I think in every division. Mostly, of course, I'm always going to have some little disagreements, but that's just everyone's opinion is a little different. But by and large, I think that I agreed with everything. And also, by me saying I disagree doesn't mean I'm right. They probably know more than me, and they were there. But man, they really worked those guys, especially in Men's Open. All of them they did, actually, but Men's Open, they really worked them. And this was such a surprising show. We get to talk about it. I think everyone expected this to be Rolly Winkler's show. And that was no disrespect to the other guys. As we said in the preview, on paper, Rolly's just the obvious favorite going into that show. He's been third in the Olympia, been in the top 7 and top 5 multiple times of the Olympia. He's pretty much one of the most legendary guys currently competing. He's someone that, like, if he had won this show, I think people would be talking about him possibly winning the Olympia this year.
For sure.
But and we said that if anyone would beat him, it would be Hunter Labrada. Well, as it turns out, that's who won the show, but there were 3 other guys who beat him as well. Unbelievably, he placed 5th in an Olympia qualifier.
You know what? It's a good thing. You know what? It shows you, like, bodybuilding is now won on paper. It's won on stage. Because on paper, I mean, unless you were like Nostradamus, nobody saw that ending. I mean, the fact that Rolly lost, in a sense, it's an upset. But the fact that he got 5th, that's like that's shocker. That's a shocker right there. And you know what? Rolly, and as we said, the show depended on how Rolly would look. And that's exactly what happened. And remember in the beginning, he had him like in the middle and all that. But remember, we were texting, and something was not the same.
Yeah.
And we saw it.
Yeah, I think he did go down in size. And I guess the thought of that was to try to nail conditioning, but he didn't do that either. He was okay condition wise, but he was sweating a whole lot.
A lot.
And he seemed to fade both during the day show and the night show. He started off one way and finished the show.
Like on the side, and he wasn't controlling his stomach. I mean, you know what? Rolly looked tired. And surprisingly, for someone who didn't compete for a whole year last year, he looked tired. He looked downsized. His legs got smaller. And you know what? I'm going to say something right now. When you're in your 40s and your legs get smaller, it's not a good thing. because for your legs to go back to their normal size, it's almost close to impossible because it is 40 now.
Right.
So
He's actually, I think, mid 40. I think he's
mid
44.
40s. There you go. And you know what? I looked at Rolly, and maybe as you said, he went in thinking, you know what, I'm gonna come in streamline and win the show. But that's not Rolly's game. Rolly's never been like that. Rolly's there to out muscle people. And what was funny at one point, if you remember, when they put him in between Mohammed Hassan and Hassan Mustafa, these two guys made him almost look small.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. Yeah, I've seen Rulli compete live many times at the Olympia, the Arnold. I've seen him at the New York Pro. I've seen him up close, very close. And when he's at his best, he's a freak on a different level. Like there's the two most freaky guys I've ever personally seen compete are himself and Big Ramy, and both equally freaky, just in a different way. Rulli's arms are just crazy, and they still are crazy, but his legs were so down in size that when they put him between those two guys, who are both famous for humongous quads,
you know what?
They made his legs look skinny.
That's a good point, because you know what? And here's the thing also, like they put him between two guys who have monstrous legs. So made his leg even more, like smaller. It was like, you know what? And I want to remember when Steve was asking Rolly, "Are you okay? Can you continue?" Rolly was tired, was fading, like almost to a point. You know what? He didn't want to be there.
I don't know. I think maybe he wanted to be there at first, but I think he could see what was happening.
No. Oh, it wasn't. And I remember one thing. I remember getting a picture from Patricia, a picture that he took with an athlete in the gym when he came in, and I saw his arm, and I was like, he doesn't look like. But it was Wednesday. I'm like, okay, maybe he hasn't dried out or whatever, but it didn't look like the Rolly of old. I said,
Right.
whatever. And then when we saw it, I wasn't, wow. I was like, no. I was like, I don't know. I mean, here's my question to you. Can he make up in 2 weeks what he looks like now?
I don't know. I mean, I would ask you that because you're a former, you've competed and you know what this takes. You've been a coach and everything else. Can he make that kind of change?
Okay, you know what? Okay, condition wise, he can, for sure. But the leg thing, he can't.
Mm-hmm.
The legs being downsized, and probably because of the injury he got, because remember he got injured last year, right? The legs downsize, you cannot change that in 2 weeks. You can't.
Even with fullness, like added fullness.
No, bro. The legs are definitely smaller. Okay. Now in 2 weeks, you're gonna end up in the same problem, but now you have Ian, you have Brent now that has now momentum going, and probably now Hassan and what's his name, Mustafa are going also in Tampa. So now you're going into the same thing with different people. It could be the same ending.
Those two guys now, though, Hassan and Mohammed, have got a lot of points. So I don't know.
Oh, for sure.
If they might just go in on points. I don't know. But if they're going to go, I guess they'll do Tampa.
No, it's in 2 weeks. Why not?
Yeah. And so talking about those guys, so that was the top six. Six was Hassan.
Yes, Hassan was that's it.
Fifth was Rulli. Mohammed was fourth. Third was Max Charles.
Yes.
Second was Brett. First was Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about them all in like ascending order. So like talk about Hassan, Mustafa. Let me see.
Yeah.
I want to see exactly how he was scored. Yeah, so he was sixth, I think, both at judging and prejudging and finals. I thought that he looked, the big knock on him is he's got all these monstrous body parts, especially the quads. He's got, if he was to be conditioned, he could win shows like this. And I still think that he was not conditioned as well as he should be, but I don't think he looked, I don't think it's a case of him fading as he's doing all these shows. He's done almost every show this season. I don't think he's really gotten worse at any rate,
You know what? Hassan is so big. Hassan in condition would have won the show.
Mhm.
Let's put it that way. He has too much size. He's too big. But Hassan's now, the problem is like he's been doing all these shows and they haven't figured out what to do with him in such a condition because condition changed a bit. The reason why probably he got six because he's so big, you cannot dismiss, you cannot like forget that. But the thing is with Hassan, until he gets that condition going, he will be like in that 4, 5, 6 spots in shows. Because normally a guy like that should be on top. And bro, a body like that should be at Olympia with freaks because it's a freak.
Mhm.
I mean, the guy's arms, legs are just out of this world. But his condition is so subpar that, and now here's the problem now. Now the judges have seen him all year.
Yeah.
And now they're going to be, go ahead.
I was going to say the one plus for him is if he comes in 2% better, he's going to shoot up, I think, in placing because they'll go, oh, he improved.
You improved, but
I think that would get rewarded. But he needs to do that. He hasn't shown signs of being able to do that.
No, not yet. And bro, you know what? Here's the thing. The way he's going, because he says he's not stopping. So he's gonna probably do Tampa and probably do Texas. But bro, it's my thing. Because bro, we know he's gonna get there to the Olympia in points.
Yeah.
But if he goes to the Olympia, which he probably will go, he will not look great at the Olympia.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a tired physique, Right. But
which is why I think maybe it might be smart to shut it down now because he's got the most points.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? I agree with you on that one. If I were him, I have enough points. I shut it down, and it gives me 12 weeks to the Olympia. So in 12 weeks, they can't manage something in 12 weeks. But they cannot match something too. But 12 weeks, you're gonna have time to take a week off or something, like to unwind, rest the body, and then go back. Because well, let's put it this way: this guy's been probably dieting since January or above. So he needs that little break because the thing with bodybuilding, when you have guys that big, it is hard to peak them because they have so much muscle. It's easier to peak someone who's smaller than someone who's that big.
In fourth place was Mohammed Shaban, who I thought, I had him picked out that he would probably be in the top 3 of the show going into it. He was actually behind Ruley in placing during prejudging, but he went up and Woolley went down for finals. And I think that's because he improved a bit for finals. At prejudging, I don't think he was quite as sharp as I was expecting to come in because he had looked better each show that he had done thus far. And in some of the pictures that we saw leading up to this show, he looked absolutely shredded, but he wasn't quite as sharp at prejudging in the glutes and hams, but that seemed to improve for finals.
And you're right about that because in the morning when he's like prejudging, like he wasn't as on, but he changed so much in between finals and prejudging. And remember, people tend to forget that there was about an hour and a half in between prejudging and finals. That's not a lot of time to change.
No, but I also wonder if all the posing that he was having to do because he was being compared a lot. But he's more polished to me than Hassan is.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
For sure. And I can see him. I think he'll be in the Olympia as well. point wise at least. I think he's a really good bodybuilder who I think's got a really good future for himself.
Oh, bro, you know what? I think this year he established himself as a very, very good bodybuilder. He's going to go to Olympia for sure in points, that's for sure. He's going to go. I'm happy for him because, bro, when he went to the Olympia before, he didn't look that great the first time he went. But this time around, he's going there. I don't know what he's going to do, but you know what? They're going to notice him because all year, bro, we only give him props because he looked very good.
Right. Yeah, great. I think I was sort of watching the show. I thought Max Charles was going to be second as the show has progressed. During prejudging, I had him in second because I really thought that that's where the judges had him. Max looked great. I thought, his story, I think, is always at the front is a little better than the back. But I thought his back was not so bad this time around. But like we were saying, from the front, when he's just standing there, he looks chiseled out of granite. Like he looks like he's flexing every muscle of his body, just standing there. Really, really impressive from the front.
Yeah, and I agree too. You know what? Max, from the front, as you say, he's so big. The delts, the arms, the chest, the abs. The abs are, I mean, it looks like carved out of steel.
Yeah.
Because when he's, like I was saying before, when we were like offline, when he's standing relaxed, like everybody looks soft beside him because everybody just pops out. Mm-hmm. But as you said, he's not the same guy even though, as you said, from the back, he got better and his legs got better.
Yeah, his legs got better.
Got better, which is good, And that was the thing probably that made him go probably third. Because honestly, the surprise we're going to talk about probably next is the guy coming next to him. We did not expect the other guy that we got, Brent, to look the way he did. Because if Brent wasn't like that, Max was a sure second place.
Yeah. Brett, I think he and Hunter both are the story of the show.
Yes.
Their success this weekend was phenomenal. They both looked amazing, but Brett was more unexpected. I had Brett on the show weeks ago. He was one of the earlier people that I spoke to. And I know Brett he's got a championship mindset, and he works out of an Armbrust gym in Colorado. And, he has spent time talking to a lot of time with Phil Heath. And he has learned, I think, or soaked up some of that mentality, that mindset. And he's got one of the best coaches in the sport right now, Matt Jansen, who is super successful across the board with a lot of different competitors he's been. So I thought he would do good. I thought he would do well. I think we both mentioned his name last week before we did the preview. I thought top 6, top 5, maybe, but I was shocked at how good he did and how well he placed. It wasn't shocking as I watched the show because he deserved it. He looked freaking amazing from the back. No one, and I told him in text that no one had his level. No one was dialed in from the back, the lower half especially, like he was. The glutes, hamstrings, everything. Yes. And it was true, like not just watching it on the screen, but Dennis James, who was there and calling the show, along with Isabel Terrell, they did a great job, by the way. I had some complaints about the live stream on Instagram, but that's just was cutting in and out at one point. But they did a great job. Camera was good too. The camera angles, they didn't do crazy stuff. They stayed in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it was really, for the most part, a good stream. But anyway, my point was that during the show, Dennis James, who was there, said that Brett was the only guy that had like that 90s conditioning, So in person, it read that way as well, not just not just watching it on screen. Brett, not only was he chiseled, he was also, his size was good. He's a guy who I saw start off as an amateur in classic physique. I saw him compete as an amateur. He started off as a pro in classic physique, then he moved up to 212, competed in 212 in 2019, I believe. Did pretty well, but moved up now to open. So I was expecting him to be bigger than 212, but I thought he might still look like a tweener, you know? But next to those guys, he wasn't dwarfed.
And you know what? Here's the thing. This guy took that time off, that the time didn't train, and he made it look good. That guy, I saw him, I remember seeing him in the 212 at the Toronto Pro. I think he got 6th at that show. And I remember seeing him, he had blue trunks. I saw him there, and I remember seeing him, I said, oh my God, this guy was good. He looks very good. His condition, basically, you know what? The condition that you saw last night was exactly what he did, what he had, but as a 212. So when I saw him on stage, basically it was the same guy, but so much bigger. And keeping the same conditioning, his stomach wasn't blown out. He kept his line. And you know what? It was refreshing to see. Because basically, all he needs at this point now is just a bit more time.
Yeah.
A bit more mass. Just time.
And I was happy that, you know, Matt is famous. Like I said this in a post last night for a couple of things. First, he brings his people in shredded. And secondly, he usually has had his great success with humongous guys who have gotten really big, really fast, really young. Right now, Walker, the mutant, is, you know, someone that people are talking about going into the Olympia is someone that's going to do really, really well. He's fantastic. But it looks like with Brett that there's sort of a conservativeness in how fast he's growing. He grew well and fast.
Yeah, well, for sure.
But very, very well proportioned, and stomach's not blown out. Nothing. I think that they're doing it 100% right with him. Not that they're not doing it right with Nick. I'm not suggesting that, but I'm just saying that I was happy to see what Brett looked like. And I really think, you know, and I said this in my post last night, you know, if he puts on 7 or 8 pounds, I don't think he needs to do more than that, because I mean, he already beat some of the biggest guys in the sport at the size that he is right now.
And you know what? At his size right now, you know, and what I like about him, he looked happy on stage. And who wouldn't be happy? I mean, on your first open show, you're standing next to Rolly Winkler,
right?
And you beat him. I mean, just that is a victory in itself.
Absolutely.
I mean, this guy. I mean, I was talking to my friend Khaled. We were like looking at the show, and we're going, this guy right now must be on cloud 9, because you're in the first call out. You're standing next to 2 Olympians. You actually beat one, clearly beat him. I mean, anything is just a win. Right. And it was unbelievable.
Yeah. If I was to nitpick Brett's physique, I would like to see his arms a little bigger. That's just a very small nitpicking thing. But they're nice. You know, he's got good separation and everything like that. I think, anyway, that's nitpicking. And also just saying that if he was 5 or 8 pounds heavier, he'd be a more serious threat, perhaps. But he's already there, man. He's
as you said, he's there. And you know what? He's doing tempo for sure. We'll see how he goes from there. But my thing is this: watch out for him next year.
Oh, he's just going to get better and better.
Oh, he's getting better. And I say now, this guy will win a show next year. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
He has a winning physique. I don't know what show. This guy will win a show next year. And with a physique like that, he's going to probably end up at the Olympia in 2022.
Yeah.
I'm saying that right now.
I think he'll do well for himself.
Absolutely.
Getting better, Hunter Labrada, I think, has improved this year from last year as well. This guy, I mean, the sky's the limit, I think, for Hunter Labrada.
But you know what? Let's put it this way. Okay, I mean, he's his own man, and that's for sure now. But what do you expect from someone whose father is Lee Labrada? What
Yeah,
can we expect? I mean, basically, he's just continuing the legacy of his dad. And right now, we can say now this guy is an Olympian, he's an established pro. There's nothing we can say about him now. Anytime you see his name on a like a competitive sheet, you have to think of him as a winner. I mean, this guy, got him eating proof. And what I like about him, the fact that Rolly was against him, the fact that remember, because when all that things it was Chicago, remember, he had Sergio that was supposed to do the show. He had what's his name? Uh, what's the black guy? His name is that uh, Griffin was supposed to do the show also. He had Rolly, and nobody had him as a winner.
yeah. Well, I think it's testament to him what he knew he was bringing and what he knew he was capable of doing. That it didn't seem to phase him. You know, those names didn't phase him, and that's good. Now it's clear there's no need for anyone to phase him. His physique, his legs are great, arms are great. He had a bicep tear at one point, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
His arms look great. He does have a pec tear, which in some shots is visible, other shots it's not. But it's not, even where it's visible, it's not, you know, terribly distracting. I just know to look for it. His back has improved. There's more thickness to it. I think more thickness will happen as he matures. He's still a very young man. Has not been really a pro for very long. But if you go back to when he competed as an amateur, when he turned pro, his last year's win at Tampa, and then the Olympia where he placed 8th, and you look at all of these, there's a constant progression in terms of size and quality, and we saw that again yesterday, that he's continued to improve. I think he'll do well at this year's Olympia, really well, better than 8th.
Oh, you know what? I think so too. You know what? He's when he talks, like I said, he's his own man, but his father was the same.
Yeah, I love their relationship together. At least what we see.
Yes. I mean, you know, looks great. Looks great. I mean, you know what? I mean, Hunter right now is creating his own path and his own destiny. Right now, Hunter, people, you know what? He has some crazy shots. His side tricep is a crazy shot.
Crazy shot. No one's not very many. You know what? I'd love to see him. You know, his toughest competitor at last year was Ian Valliere, who he beat at Tampa, and then at the Olympia, Ian placed ahead of him at 7th to his 8th. But those guys both got freaky and awesome side tricep poses. Very reminiscent. They hit it very reminiscent of Dorian Yates.
Exactly.
And actually, to be honest with you, Lee Labrada hit that pose that way as well with the one leg.
Yeah, for sure. With like that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And they're very different physiques, Lee and Hunter. But the quality is there. You know, it's just different size and, you know, height and thickness and everything. It's a different time anyway. So
it's a different time, but you know what? Like you were saying, it's 2 different physiques, but excellent at what they're supposed to be.
Yeah, and I think
because what's his name? Hunter is a 250-pound man. He's a big guy. He's huge. He's a big man, and he looks great as a big man. Like his father looked great as a smaller bodybuilder, and his father was the same. You know, so I mean, this guy now is, and you know what? If we're talking now for the Olympia, let's say we'll later on, he's in the discussion for top 6. You can.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely. Yeah, that's not a. I think top 6 for him, not a question, in my opinion, right now. Okay, so let's move on to other divisions. Also on that first, well, let's see, what should we talk about?
212. Let's talk 212.
212. Let me find the 212 guys here. I have the
Yes.
the scorecards in front of me. Pro League figure. 212 was the first day, correct?
Yeah, they won. Yeah, they won. Yeah.
Okay. I'll find it. I'm about to find it. Men's physique, classic physique. So in classic physique, the top two guys in second place was, I'm going to mess up their names. In second place from Tunisia,
Yes.
Mohammed Fakfak. I don't know. It's Fakh, Fakh. Mohammed.
Okay.
We'll call him Mohammed. In first place from Colombia.
Colombia, yeah. Colombia, yeah.
Darwin Andres Arribe.
He has a long name. I know he has a long name. You know what? I didn't see the show completely. I saw pictures last night and a bit, and the guy from Colombia looks amazing.
Yeah.
You know how he looks? He looks like a taller version of Terrence Ruffin, about the same kind of length.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, and yeah, he looks very good, very good, very classic. I mean, very classic.
He was very classic. Both the top two guys were amazing, but his look was definitely more classic. He posed more classically as well, where the guy in second was more, you see, more bodybuilding in terms of his posing style, if that makes any sense. He wasn't hitting quite the classic poses, but looked great. He's got a lot of talent, and I'm sure he's going to do really well. I want to mention also who was in third place from Texas, Ashwin Lucas. I want to mention him because his posing was absolutely phenomenal. It was to me the best posing routine I saw in classic physique this weekend. I thought he was really good. He placed third, and a lot of promise. He had a lot of confidence on stage too. I liked him a lot. He's in Texas, so that's good.
Okay, Texas.
So that was classic 212.
Yes. Another good, interesting show.
Yes.
Interesting. And you know what? It's interesting because, you know what? Again, same thing as the open class. On paper, we had one guy, one name, Keon Pearson, that was supposed to go through that show like a hot knife through butter. Like, goes in, he wins.
Yes.
But it was not an easy win.
No, not at all, I don't think. So I'm looking at the scorecard. They only have one row of scores for the 212 guys. So do 212 only get judged at pre-judging? Or did they rejudge at finals?
Yeah, they do rejudge. They do. Because you know what? With the confirmation round, they do rejudge at night. They do.
It's interesting. Most of the divisions, you see two rows of scores. Only one. But at any rate, they had, apparently Keon was straight first, and whatchamacallit, Ahmed.
Yes,
was
second. Yeah.
Seconds, and Kareth was straight thirds, which was not what I thought was going on. Watching the show, I thought Kareth was in second during prejudging, at least. I do think that
and let's not forget John Jewett got fourth.
John Jewett got fourth. Yeah. And fifth place was who was fifth? Oswaldo Gonzalez.
Yes,
But the
yes.
top
Look good.
four were really who I thought the top four were very, very close. Very close. Now, Keon, of course, look, he is gifted genetically. And he actually mentioned that in his interview afterwards. He's got great shape, great proportions. He's got a classic bodybuilding physique, where he looks like, what's his name? John Sherman? Is that what his name was?
Yeah, John Sherman back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiny waist, great vacuum, huge arms, huge chest and back. But we have not ever, to this day, seen him shredded to the bone, where he is 100% peeled and undeniable. And this guy, if he comes into the Olympia shredded to the bone, he is a serious threat to be a top 3 guy or possibly win the show. But we have yet to see that from Keon. And I really like Keon, and I really want to see him succeed to his highest level. And I hope that happens at some point. But this show, I thought it was really close between him and actually, if Ahmed Elistani, if Ahmed had won the show, if they had named him the winner, I would have not thought anything of it, because he was conditioned, and especially at finals, he looked better than he did at prejudging. And he's got nice muscle bellies. To me, his posing is that's the thing between he and Keon. Keon's a masterful poser, knows how to display his physique perfectly. Even in mandatories, not just in his routines. But Ahmed was fidgety during the mandatories. He couldn't hold things long. Even the front double, he kept on. He was fidgety.
Exactly, frustrating. Yeah. And you know what? The thing about Keon, as we're saying, Keon's shape carried him to the show.
Absolutely.
Because Keon, I mean, let's face it. As I said, Keon's shape is probably one of the best shape overall in bodybuilding, in every class, every division, all of it. Okay, so that will carry him so much. So what happens with him? What I think, his shape is so great that even if he comes in like in lesser shows, less condition, because he was good. We're not saying that he was off. No, by any means.
Right. No.
Yes. No, he was good. But we're seeing like this guy, we have such high expectation of him that we already seeing him against the likes of Florida, Kamal, Peterson, all that, And remember one thing, I gotta give him that too. He's young. He's young. He's very young. He's 24 years old, 24, 25. And these guys on top, like George, like Kamal, and Florida, I've been at it for a long time. So the muscle's not the same. He's gonna get there, for sure. He's gonna get there. But this show come in, even though he got straight first, which is true. When you see the show, it wasn't a straight win because certain guys were able to expose certain things they didn't have.
Yes, I agree. In terms of the guys in third and fourth, I had that swapped out. I could tell that the judges were favoring Kerith. Thought they had him in second at prejudging. It seemed it from placings, but I would have put John Jewett ahead of him. I just like his physique better. Nothing against Kerith. It's just the shape. His shape. People talk about the shape of John, but I think it was superior. From the back, both look good from the back, but I don't know. I thought John's level of conditioning was a little bit better.
You know what? John was the most conditioned guy of the class. The guy was torn. He was shredded from beyond. His glutes, his hamstrings, everything was. But you know what? Here's the thing. When he stands next to guys who are genetically a little bit more gifted, how can I say that? not that he looks flat. It's not because he's not. Is that the guys have like more? I would say not heavily muscle. Like remember, like when he did the Indie Pro when he lost against Tony and against Nathan Epler. Um, these guys have like more pop to their muscle.
Yeah, there's a roundness, more roundness.
There you go. Exactly. You know what? And I can understand what he's doing because he doesn't want to sacrifice his conditioning for a bit more roundness for his body. Because Jean looked amazing. I mean,
I thought he looked great.
nitpicking here. I mean, I'm just nitpicking because that's what bodybuilding is. Because honestly, could he have done something more? Probably not. He came
Yeah.
in the best he can, you know. So here's what it is.
He's made improvements to his physique too. I used to talk about him not, you know, I used to think that he reminded me of Boyer Coe in that he would come in great shape and have great body parts, but the abs were never like, he doesn't have deeply etched abs. It's not that he had distended abs. It's just how genetically the muscle structure seems to be to me.
Yes.
But they've improved, and I think you'd have to nitpick his physique to find things wrong, because I think he's a really good 212 bodybuilder.
Oh,
and
absolutely, bro.
I hope he gets in on points. I think he probably will.
Bro, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's first
Okay.
in the point system. I think he's first. I haven't checked out, but if you check out, I think he's first. Because if you look at it, I think he's first. Because, you know, if I look by logic, he did great in New York. He did great in Indy. And he did great there. So if you calculate, he's up there.
Oh, he was already first going into the show.
There you go. There you go.
So,
yeah,
so I'm sure he is.
Probably. Oh, yeah, he's secure. I mean, his place is secured, for sure. For sure.
So let's talk about also on the first day of the show was women's physique.
Oh, Lord. Let's talk about that.
Really good show. Very you know, there was 25 girls, I think, in the show.
25, absolutely. 25.
Which is really good. And compare that to something like the New York Pro, which usually has got a stacked lineup, but this year it only had 6 girls. They brought it there, but the girls who placed second and third at the New York Pro were in this show.
Yeah.
And Sharonica, who I thought was going to be a top contender to win this show, placed 10th, I believe. Sharonica Henton. And I don't think she looked terribly off. She wasn't as sharp as she could be, perhaps, but I thought she still looked very good. I don't think she looked any worse than she did in New York. And then the girl who had placed third in New York, Yuna Kim, did not place in this show. She placed
exactly.
So this show is super stacked with talent. And let's talk about, I guess we can talk about the top 4 or 5, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
In fourth, let's talk about the top 4. The top 4 in fourth place was Elizabeth Bradshaw, who is coached by Shelby Starnes.
Yeah, yes.
Ripped to shreds. She was definitely the most shredded girl in the show, in my opinion. She has like she's like almost a Dorian Yates.
Dorian Yates,
The greatness. I thought she did really, really well. She's a good poser as well. Her shape is not bad. It's not as great as the next girl who I'm going to mention, but she did great. I don't know that she could do anything better for herself. Do you?
You know what? What carried her there was basically her condition, because she was conditioned to the max. I mean, the back, the glutes, and everything. But as we said with the Open and the 212, condition when shows, it's true. But when you have somebody that has great shape, in the end, it's what's pleasing to the eye. And the girl that got third, Brittany,
Brittany,
Even
yeah.
though even though Brittany was, even though she wasn't as conditioned as Elizabeth, but her structure is so beautiful that you know what, your eyes go to her. So that's
Man,
what's great about having great structure, because structure
yeah.
will get you a long way.
She's got beautiful structure. Brittany Wells, right?
Brittany Watts, yeah,
Watts.
Brittany Watts,
Sorry,
yeah, Brittany
Watts.
Watts,
I know. Yeah, I
yeah, yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I've been a fan of hers for a bit, and she is got a beautiful structure, beautiful muscle bellies, gorgeous back. Her back is just gorgeous. The
Yes,
taper.
yes,
She's
yes,
got a
yes,
waist.
yes.
It's like a cobra. The way she opens up the
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah.
Leg. She could have more thickness in her legs, perhaps.
Yeah, more legs, yeah, for sure.
But man, she's beautiful, beautiful physique.
And
Um,
and remember, if you remember correctly, at prejudging, she was in the second call out.
yeah, so she jumped up.
She jumped up. I mean, she jumped up great because in the morning, she was probably sixth or seventh, and
Mhm.
Elizabeth was probably third or fourth. And somehow she jumped in from seventh, sixth to seventh to third place,
I
which
wonder if
means
sometimes I wonder if sometimes because I didn't really notice that she looked super different between the shows. I wonder if sometimes a judge at the end of like say prejudge was like, dudes, why? How did you not like notice? Brittany, she looked amazing, and then they
you know what?
relook
What?
something. I don't know, but I don't know how it works. I would love to. I would love to someday be a judge, but I'd have to learn
Here's
how
the
to do
thing.
it.
That's why the confirmation round is so important.
Mhm.
Because if it was just like back in the day, she would have been sixth or seventh. But now with the confirmation round, that if you look at the rules of the IBB, counts for 50% of the score. So which means that her condition was like probably went up a lot and Liz went down.
Mhm.
Because Liz was third or fourth. And for that girl, Brittany, to jump from sixth, seventh to third place is is proof that the confirmation round does work and
Right.
does help athletes. So that's what
Yeah.
happens. Exactly that. So, oh yeah. So I mean, and she had great shape, Brittany. Her shape
She's
was
great
great.
shape. She's yeah, I love her physique. I think she's beautiful physique, beautiful muscle bellies, like I said, and I like her a lot. The top two of the show, I think, we're talking about how you see how I'm talking about the top two, like it's just the top two.
Yeah.
Like it's just two people. That I think though, going into the shows, the winner was Patricia Goslin,
Yeah.
and in second place was
Lenka,
Lenka. Yeah,
Frankova, I think.
Kova. Yes, Frenikova.
Yeah.
Lenka. Okay, so I'll be completely honest with you. I was not familiar with Lenka going into the show, and at prejudging, and this is me being 100% honest with you
For sure.
and the world.
For sure.
I thought Lenka had. I thought that she had the show, not tied up. But I thought that perhaps she was first and Patricia was second. Going from the lineup and also just certain, they were equally sharp, I thought, at prejudging. This is a prejudging.
Okay.
But Lenka has got some bigger body parts. Her arm, even though Patricia's arms are not a weakness in any way, her arms are sort of the next level, the biceps especially on Lenka.
Yeah, big biceps.
Yes, she has a big back, a wide back that tapers down really nicely. Things I had thought were in Patricia's favor at finals, at prejudging, was she looked perfect. Her skin, the tan was absolute perfection. Makeup was perfect. Hair was perfect. Her presentation is perfect. She posed perfectly. And I used to have some criticisms of some of Patricia's posing, mandatories.
Yeah.
So about the mandatories, but I could not find a single thing wrong. And I was even seeing this during when she was sending me in the weeks leading up to it. And she sent you and you sent me and stuff. The videos of her doing her mandatories, I was like, oh wow, she transitions really, really well, and she's hitting those things really great, like her side tricep transitioning from the full side to the front quad and everything. And anyway, I thought it was really close at prejudging. When finals rolled around, I don't know if she sharpened up a little bit and Lenka faded a little bit. There was just little changes that made me go, man, this is Patricia's show. Patricia won finals. If I was only to have watched finals, I wouldn't have thought it was that terribly close. You know,
You're right. You know what? And you're right about. You know what? Your opinion is great because in the morning it was close. The thing I had with Patricia was completeness. Like she was more complete. And when I think about complete, I also talk about presentation, the hair and all that. Okay. So all these things made it to me like, you know, she was maybe like an edge a bit, maybe, but at night she came in better, and probably Lenka came in a little like less as not as good as in the morning, but it looked like the gap was so huge. It looked like Patricia was alone and everybody else was falling through. I mean, Patricia, basically what happened, what she did, and I'm not saying that I want people on the internet to go crazy. She did what Phil Heath was doing on Saturday night. She actually slammed the door shut at night.
yes, she
At
did.
night, she came in, she slammed the door shut. I mean, if in the morning we were not sure, at night there was no debate. I mean, even Dennis James and Isabel Terrell that did a great job commenting the show were also on the same bandwagon.
Yeah,
I mean, the posing was great. Even I remember when she was posing, they stopped talking.
yeah. Her routine was phenomenal, and you know, I'm a huge fan of Alyssa Kiesling, the classical queen, as she's known on
Yeah,
Instagram. And her style of posing is very unique to her. She poses very similar to, say, a Lee Labrada, you know, a classic, you know, men's bodybuilder.
yeah, yeah.
And I love that style of posing. You get to someone like, oh my God, Rachel Daniels, who
Yes.
is sort of a Kai Green of today, and it's just so happens that they're partnering up on some sort of project that they're working on right now,
Okay.
which sort of reminds me of that sort of next level of artisticness in her posing.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And it's amazing to see. It gives me goosebumps. Both of those two are Alyssa and Rachel, who both happen to be the last two New York Pro champions. They're
Yes.
posing in different ways. I get goosebumps. Well, watching Patricia pose was like watching, it was like the best, when I say classic, female bodybuilding pose. It reminded me of days of old when the women really, really cared about their posing. Actually, Juliana Malacarne was like this with her posing. It was just beautiful. It was very feminine. It was gorgeous. Her floor work was wow, you know, and everything went to the music so well. It was sort of moving. And like you said, DJ and Isabel, they just were silent throughout that 90% of her routine because it was captivating. And
Yeah, it was. You're right. Because you know what, when you on your post, she said she embodied the total package.
yeah,
And I remember talking to Patricia saying, you know what? Because I was comparing her a bit to Chris Cormier in the sense that Cormier's career was made out of the fact that he was complete on every aspect.
yeah,
Every aspect. He wasn't the biggest guy, but each aspect he covered. You
yes,
looked at him, you went, he's not missing anything. He posed well, he presented himself well, his body is well matched, he has size, yeah. So basically, what Patricia did, basically, she went, You know, like you were ticking boxes. She ticked all the boxes that need to be ticked.
Did. She did. I think her size is optimal for women's physique. I think her conditioning was as well. She was very well conditioned. She was, probably next to, and interestingly enough, she's also coached by Shelby. Next to Liz Bradshaw, I'd say she was the most conditioned girl on the stage. Her conditioning was great. It was perfect for what that division should be.
Yeah.
And perhaps Liz goes a little far in conditioning. I don't know. It's still
And you know what?
But
the
I
thing
think
is
that,
also, Patricia was the only girl with striated quads.
yes, her quads feathered.
Yeah, the only one.
She looked great. And this is a physique that I think is possible. That I think she's going to have a very, very strong Olympia debut. I think single digits for sure, and that something like a top 6 is very, very possible.
And you know what? And people don't know, but we've talked about it like back and forth. And I'm not saying that because I'm her best friend or whatever, but I'm saying that I told her like that. If you come in the same way you did Friday at the Olympia, no matter what the outcome, people are gonna notice you very well. There is no debate because you're presenting something that is complete. And on top of that, I told her, you look feminine. And in this class, we go back to Juliana Malacarne. That was the thing. She had muscle, but she looked good doing it.
Yes, absolutely. And Juliana actually commented on the post that I did in between prejudging and finals. She called her the winner after prejudging. She knew it, and she was right. I think that says something. I think when the greatest of all time in terms of that division can pick that out, that says something to me. So,
no, bro, it's like,
yeah, high hopes and realistic expectations for Patricia to do really, really well at the Olympia this year.
We'll be there to see it. We'll be there to see it. You know what? You know what? I mean, while you're here, we'll talk, bro. What we should do in Orlando, we should do a preview of the show in Orlando.
Yeah. See, my problem is whenever I've been going to these shows, and I've gone to a few, it's just me, and I don't know how do I do like an interview type of situation. I don't have the equipment, and I don't have a backup person. But if we could each take turns interviewing people at these expos,
I would, no problem.
I could film you talking to somebody, you can film me talking to somebody, and we'll have great content.
No, for sure, I would do it. You know what? That great content, and now, bro, since you're a dope mic right now, because you're a dope mic right now, you're a dope guy. So we'll be able to get these people to make them talk. You know, like get some of the people that are participating to the show, and that, bro, that would be a good thing. That would probably be a very good thing.
Yeah, I think so too. And good idea. And I'm glad that I had you in this whole event.
See?
So going on, we'll talk about some other divisions. Bikini.
Yes.
Bikini was won by Lorelei.
Laura Lee,
who I think that we thought would win going into the show. She looked amazing. The top 3 looked amazing, actually, in the show.
Yes.
Whose names I will probably butcher. In second place, Maureen Blanquisco. I'm probably mispronouncing her last name. She was amazing, beautiful. And in third place was Jasmine. I think it's Jasmine Gonzalez, if I'm right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yes, Jasmine Gonzalez, who I saw do really well at the Battle of Texas in December. Another beautiful girl, great physique. I actually had her in second, but those were my top 3 as I was watching the show anyway. But the champ it was undeniable, and she's someone who I think can win the Olympia, maybe as soon as this year, but somewhere down the line. She's phenomenal.
Okay, you know what? I'm going out of limb, bro. To me, right now, she could be right now the number one contender for that title. Because, she's, we were talking about Patricia before. Laura Lee, to me, when I look at her, she embodies what bikini should look like.
Yes. Yeah.
Like the body is exactly, how a body should look like in bikini. So when your body fits all the criteria of the class, I mean, it's hard to beat.
Yeah, she's really hard.
She's gonna, bro. I'm telling you, she's gonna be hard to beat. But I mean, you know what? Don't be surprised, bro. If that girl comes in and bro, because remember in 2018 she got second.
Yes,
second place.
She got second.
Bro, she got second.
She was fourth or something.
Fourth. Oh, bro, she's there. She's there.
Yeah. She, the top for me, my favorite bikini girls. She's one of them. Isa Pacini, is that her? Who won it 2 years ago? To me, unbelievable. When she is on, she's a freak in terms of bodybuilding. Physiques, tiny waist. Also a beautiful girl. They're both beautiful. Ashley Kaltwasser, who is the winningest champion of all time.
Exactly. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
She's another great, and of course the current champion is Janet Leigh, is gorgeous and amazing as well. She's been a top contender for many years, and now she's finally the champion. And those girls are the ones. And I would say Angelica, two-time former champion, but she's pregnant and not competing.
Yeah,
she's about the business of being a mom now, and also promoting. She's one of the three promoters, along with Freddie Nadeau and Flexi Brown, doing the so she's got her hands full with that. Let's see, figure was won by Julia Waring. I thought that was very well earned. She looked amazing. Okay. She's one of the best. Men's physique.
I went female bodybuilding because I want to talk about female bodybuilding. Who won? Her name is Sheena. That won. The girl that won in female bodybuilding.
Women's bodybuilding. Let me get to that page here. Top two were really good.
Yes.
Sheena Oleg.
Yeah,
from Camden, New Jersey, where I went to college at Rutgers University. That's where she's from.
Really?
Yeah, she was beautiful, and man, going into the show, the girl who placed second, Christina Mendoza, was who I thought would win the show. She looked great as well. She's beautiful as well. They're both beautiful women, but I think the placings were correct 100%. Sheena was just more conditioned, more highly conditioned. Both of those women are feminine looking, beautiful women, great bodybuilders. Thought it was a good show.
Yeah. And Christina, I know about Christina, her condition improved a lot because that show, even though she wasn't as conditioned as the winner, that's her best condition to date, which is a good thing. So it means that she's getting there. She's getting to that point, which is great.
Yeah, she's moving forward, and that's good. And she seems a little sharp, more separation in those amazing quads of hers. Her quads are just unbelievable. And we said last week she's got a great look.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think, it's just a matter of time. She'll probably win the next show she does. But both of them looked amazing. In men's physique, the guy who I thought was going to win the show, George Brown, placed second. To a guy who just won a show, Ramses Rams is his name, which is an awesome name. Ramses He's from Spain. Great looking physique. Those two guys were definitely the top two. He was a little sharper than George. George has got, this is something, I want to talk about this.
Go ahead.
in men's physique, okay, the legs, the quads are and hamstrings and glutes are covered. So there's no point in judging that. Their calves are showing though, and the calves should be judged just like every other part of their body that's
I
showed. In my
believe
personal
that
opinion,
too. I believe that too.
George has got calves. Ramsey's calves, though defined, are not as big. And there were some guys, man, there's some guys in the show. It's really wow to me that some of when I look at the calves, there are literally some twigs. Like, really,
I know, I know, I know, I know. I know, I know, I know.
and I think that if it's an exposed body part, it should be judged. And because most of the legs aren't shown and the calves are, they should hold a certain amount of importance. In my opinion, that's just how I would do it. And George has got calves. They both look great, though. I thought.
Yeah.
And George is also always just one of my favorites. He's a really cool dude, and I like talking to him every time I see him. In wellness, so now I don't know these girls at all, but the two girls who were in the top two were absolutely phenomenal. I had the girl who placed second. Her name is Bruna Saric, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely gorgeous brunette who I had winning. I thought she was the winner, and I had the girl who placed first in second, but she won, and that's fine too. Cassandra Gillis from Canada.
And
they were both. What's that?
I was thinking about her. I was thinking about her. She's trained by one of my good friends, Chris Julian from Canada. Chris told me about her a bit. And when I saw her, she looks like a wellness. She looks very good. And that was her first on the show. And so she's going to the Olympia. And I mean, you know what? She looks like a wellness athlete.
Yeah.
Like
she looked great. Yeah, I don't have any gripes about her winning. I just, as I was watching it, I had it the other way around, but that's fine. And Renee Jewett, John Jewett's wife, is third.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. I think for her, she's a little narrow across the clavicles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that matters because everything else looks great. She's gorgeous too, and it was a really good top three in my opinion.
Yes.
Gosh. So many, every division was in the show. Fitness was in the show. Sarah Kovac won, and I think she is amazing. I like her a lot. Thought her physique, she placed second in the physique round to Tamara Vaughn, who ended up placing third overall in the show because the points matter more for the routine as it should for the fitness girls. But she looked great too. But I actually had Sarah winning that round too.
Yes.
Anyway, she did great. Glad she's going to the Olympia. What else? What other divisions have we talked about?
We covered. Hold on, we covered everything.
Everything.
Everything. Fitness was the last one we covered.
Okay. If I spoke about, okay, great, terrific. It was a great show. Kudos to the promoters. Wings of Strength, headed up by Jake Wood and also Tim Gardner.
And you know what? About Tim Gardner's, I mean, Tim always has packed shows. I mean, Chicago, and you know what? Like I was saying last week, if Chicago is packed, Tampa is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I hope so, and I'm sure it will be. All these shows now that we have left, I say all these shows, there's only two, other than the Arnold, and the Arnold only really counts. Only one person in the entire Arnold Classic is going to qualify for the Olympia. That's going to be the winner of the men's division, men's bodybuilding, and nobody else is qualifying, and nobody else is getting points. Those people who get points and who win their divisions, other than the men's bodybuilding, all those points and wins are going to count towards 2022.
2022, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So only the winner of the men's Arnold Classic title gets to go to this year's Olympia. And honestly, William Bonac, who's the defending champion, who's already qualified for the Olympia, I think he's got to be considered the favorite to win it anyway. So that might not even, might not affect the Olympia lineup whatsoever.
As I said, no, it might not. I mean, you know what? William, and once again, on paper, William is the heavy favorite. But here's my thing, though. We just saw that sometimes on paper doesn't reflect. But
This is
even
true.
though it's William.
But saying that, though, Rulli is often hit or miss in terms of conditioning and stuff.
Yeah.
Williams pretty steady on,
That wasn't, but that was my other thing. William's difference. With William, you know what to expect.
Yes. That said, though, I know Steve Kuklow's coming to both the Texas Pro and the Arnold with a win in mind, and I hear he's looking absolutely phenomenal, his best ever at a pretty heavy body weight too. Really strong too. He's I don't know. I think he's got a chance. Definitely think he's got a very good chance of winning the Texas Pro that's coming up. There's only the Texas Pro and Tampa Pro, right? That's the only thing that's left. So both of these shows are going to be stacked with guys because, like we said, someone's got to. There's a lot of people left have qualifications, and only one's going to qualify.
You're
Ian
right.
Valier.
He's doing Tampa.
He's doing Tampa.
Oh yeah, Tampa, yeah, for sure.
So I mean, probably will win. He'll probably win, but I don't know who else is going to do the show. But he's got to be.
And like you said, we're about to say bye. So talking about, Ian. Now after seeing Rolly, Ian must be licking his chops, going, you know what? I can win this thing.
He's got to, and honestly, if now that I would probably say if I don't know all the other names that are doing the show, but if Ian and Rulli are the top two famous names in that show, I'd go with Ian because Ian's famous for tremendous conditioning, and I know he's bigger than ever. He looks great in the pictures that he's showing on Instagram. He's got striated glutes. I mean, he's looking phenomenal. I think if I am just seeing what Rulli looked like yesterday, if someone was to say who do you think is going to win, I'd pick Ian.
You know what? I would, after what I've seen from Rolly, I would go Ian too.
Yeah.
Like if you'd have asked me that question last week,
I would have said the other way.
Rolly, but now after what I've seen, Ian is the guy to do the show.
Right, and if we're talking about like on paper, right? On paper, at the Olympia last year, Ian beat Hunter. At this show, Hunter beat Rulli. Therefore,
so you see,
Ian's chances of beating Rulli are pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah.
We've talked for a long time, so I'll let you get going. But these shows coming up, we should do quick previews of. I say quick, but they're never quick. Previews of the Tampa Pro and the Texas Pro. I'm going to be at the Texas Pro. I cannot wait for that show. It's right in my backyard. Not really. I'm in Rockwall, Texas. It's in Irving, Texas, I believe. Both suburbs of Dallas. So it's a no-brainer that I'll be there. So looking forward to it. Greg, thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
My pleasure, bro. My pleasure. All right. Thanks.
All right. I will talk to you. Stay on for a second. Guys, everyone, thanks for watching. I say everyone, the last episode was only seen by like 80 something people. Only 200 and something people have seen the Kevin Levrone interview, which is a shame because it was a great interview and Kevin Levrone's a legend. So everyone, I mean, I wish all my followers on Instagram would hop over to subscribe here on YouTube because I think some of the content's really good. There's going to be more and more content coming out. So anyway, thanks everyone for watching. So I'm preaching to the choir. I'm talking to people who are already subscribed. But anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Greg, for coming on. You're really officially a member. You are now, I guess, partners in this bodybuilding. So we'll be talking again sometime real soon. Everybody, thanks for watching. For now, it's Michael Bryson, Greg Ulysse. This is Bodybuilding.